The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Have some breaking news. Border Patrol agents have gathered outside Governor Gavin Newsom's news conference on California's redistricting plans.
Mike Case is above the scene in Little Tokyo in Sky 5. Mike.
Morning, everybody, and we're at First and Central Little Tokyo, and we understand that there was possibly an ICE raid that occurred here on the northwest corner, and we understand some people were taken into custody, but we don't know how many or what the charge was. Right now, the only law enforcement remaining is LAPD, and they're on scene here from Central Division. Some arrests were made. We're not sure how many or the charges involved. Again, First and Central. Now, the traffic remains open on First Street. Use caution in the area, but LAPD on scene. Apparently, ICE has left the location. We'll keep you updated. We get more information here in downtown LA. Mike Case up, Sky 5 HD. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Mike. Not believe that this just happened to be a coincidence.
There is no way this was a coincidence. This was widely publicized that the governor and many of our other elected officials were having a press conference here to talk about redistricting, and they decided they were going to come and thumb their nose in front of the governor's face. Why would you do that? That is unbelievably disrespectful. It's a provocative act. They're talking about disorder in Los Angeles, and they are the source of the disorder in Los Angeles right now. This is just completely unacceptable. This is a administration, this is a Customs and Border Patrol that has gone amok. This absolutely has to stop. There was no danger here. There was no need to detain anyone here. And there was certainly no need to have a provocative act right here where the governor is having a press conference.
Karen went Karen. Karen went in total Karen mode. Yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, that scene from Little Tokyo as the Democrats. It's like Chinatown, only the Japanese version, Carlos, in L.A. In fact, the place where they were was the Japanese American National Museum in Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles, in a district that is referred to as Little Tokyo. And Donald Trump, of course, well, Border Patrol was there. And they captured, by the way, criminals, including a Tren de Agua criminal and others. A man accused of murder, I believe, was also captured there. So that's the answer to Karen's questions. Why were they there? Because that's where they got the illegals. So it was there. Now, Donald Trump just landed in Alaska a short time ago, and did Vladimir Putin. And classic Donald Trump. Trump. The scene is beautiful. There's a side-by-side video of them both deplaning at the same time. And Donald Trump takes a long walk to get to the red carpet. Vlad takes a walk to get to the red carpet that's laid out before his train. Yeah, Vlad. And so Vlad meets Trump. It's like an intersection, a very cordial meeting. They shake hands, they chatted up with each other for a while. They genuinely looked, I don't know whether it's happy, but they looked enthusiastic to see each other. So then they both walk along the same red carpet that Donald Trump was walking on, a very wide red carpet, walking toward, I guess, the meeting place, or where they're going to either disembark from the airport and get to their meeting place. And as they are walking, and they're walking down this tarmac, you hear this sound overhead. Sounds almost like a roaring thunder. And what is overhead? A B-52 bomber, escorted by a bunch of little jets, is flying right over Vladimir Putin's head. It is classic. It was a classic. And Putin looks up, and what is he looking at? He's looking at this beautiful stealth B-52 bomber flying right over him. It was a brilliant, beautiful execution, perfectly coordinated, wonderful moment as the talks begin. Of course, you might know that Hillary Clinton has suggested that if this indeed turns out to be the beginning of a peace agreement, that she would, according to news reports, get behind a Nobel Prize for Trump, and a lot of people are questioning, well, that's interesting. Maybe she's trying to, anyway, let's see what happens with those talks. Apparently the talks are just beginning. Remember, Donald Trump said that he will know within the first few minutes whether Vlad is there to make a deal or not. And he also said, look, if this thing ain't going well, I'm going to walk out. So he's already put it out there that he's willing to walk out on Vlad. Part of, I guess, and that goes with the way that he negotiates. He's not afraid to walk away if there's no deal there. And he said that this is part of his negotiation. He will walk away. So he's looking at now hysterically what we played in our open. This was so beautiful yesterday. The event at Little Tokyo. Gavin Newsom at this press conference was informed that there were He was informed that there were ICE agents outside. Cut to Carlos. This is at this rally that they're having to try to get support for the idea that California ought to further gerrymander their districts and try to wipe out. Republicans barely have a presence in California. And in response, of course, to what's going on with Texas, by the way, that special session ended today. I am hopeful that by the time this show concludes, this is the fastest hour in American media, I'm quite hopeful that the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, will announce a new special session starting Monday, or maybe even Sunday. But we'll see when he and what he does with that. In the meantime, Gavin Newsom cut to at the press conference yesterday, and this is what that sounded like.
And right outside, at this exact moment, are dozens and dozens of ICE agents.
Yay!
Donald Trump, you think it's coincidental?
No.
Donald Trump and his minions, Tom Homan, tough guy.
Minions.
Clearly decided, coincidentally or not, that this was a location to advance ICE arrests.
Good.
Indiscriminate?
Good.
Perhaps. We'll find out later. It was certainly indiscriminate when a 15-year-old disabled boy had a gun put to his head in Los Angeles trying to go to school just a few days ago. I met with it.
Shame.
I don't need to belabor this, except I want to level set.
Because you'd look silly if you keep belaboring it.
People are fearful. You had a United States senator that was thrown down to the ground.
Oh, please.
In a federal building.
Please.
Alex Padilla. J.D. Vance's name is Alex Padilla, not Jose Padilla. That's the Vice President of the United States.
No kidding. You're not, and you're not going to be President of the United States if most of us get our way. Why would we want to happen to America what you've done to California? And by the way, these raids are happening there because your Democrat minions and cohorts have decided to let millions of illegal immigrants flood not only the country, but Los Angeles, Sacramento, San Francisco, every other city that you can think of, and taxpayers are paying for it in large measure. And it's illegal. And you set yourself up as a sanctuary city, but that sanctuary stuff, I think the sanctuary's days are numbered. Now, there wasn't ICE, by the way, it was Border Patrol yesterday, and Border Patrol Chief Greg Bovino was outside when this all happened, outside the presser. This is cut 3 and then cut 4. Cut 3 and then cut 4. 4, he was on an interview with Dana Perino on Fox, but cut 3 was yesterday outside in Little Tokyo where the Border Patrol was swooping up people while Gavin Newsom and Karen, who went Karen, were meeting.
What happened? We're here making Los Angeles a safer place. Since we won't have politicians that'll do that, we do that ourselves. So that's what we're here today. As you can see, already making it a safer place. We're glad to be here, not going anywhere.
And the governor's inside right there.
I don't know where he's at.
He's about 100 feet behind us. Do you have any comment from him or anything?
Again,
any message?
We're making Los Angeles and California a safer place. We're going to continue to do that, and they can take that one to the bank and cash it.
Cut 4, Carlos.
Sir, did you purposely target the governor's rally in order to have a show of force there?
Well, good morning, Dana, and thank you for having me. We absolutely targeted all of Los Angeles yesterday. We had 40 law enforcement teams spread across Los Angeles going after those bad people and bad things. When we talk about targeting, what the governor perhaps is not saying here is just a couple of blocks away from where we were, a Tren de Aragua gang member, a suspected Tren de Aragua gang member was apprehended. And that's very important, Dana, because does the governor or Mayor Bass, when they have these meltdowns, these tantrums like that, do they want those individuals walking the streets? I see a lot of outrage there from the governor, when he talks about these ICE raids, and we're actually Border Patrol out there yesterday, not ICE. So a lot of outrage there. Where's the outrage, Dana, when there are Tren de Aragua members walking with impunity on the streets of Los Angeles, or child rapists, or a whole litany of other bad people and bad things, bad criminals walking those streets of Los Angeles? Where's the outrage? Where's the outrage there?
Yes, and Lady Benedict just texted me, someone ought to ask Governor Newsom if he feels the same about, this outrage that they had over ICE pointing a gun allegedly at a 15-year-old. If they feel the same outrage for innocent victims getting guns put to their head by some of these criminals and some of the crime that's conducted by people that shouldn't be in the country. Where does he feel the outrage? Does he ever notice that? In fact, you can look at the number of people, residents of California, that have been killed. Some of these cases are so high profile. And where was the outrage from Governor Newsom over this Kate Steinle case? And what happened there, the injustice with that, where, of course, her killer is serving nowhere near time that ought to be for just blowing away that innocent woman. And you look, there are cases of road rage that have happened where motorists driving to and fro have been killed by people later determined not to be eligible to be in the country at all. And the governor says nothing about those people, but yet he can stand on his high horse with good hair and pontificate about a case of mistaken identity, I think it was, that he's referring to. Charles Hurt was on Fox News, Cut 7, Carlos, and he had an interesting angle on it, too. This is what he said.
When you look at the real problems that California faces, with whether it's the same ones that that we face nationally with illegal immigration, but also the very specific ones. You have entire neighborhoods that were burned to the ground a year ago that are desperate to rebuild, and his government is preventing people from rebuilding those houses. You would think that he might focus on that instead of doing this ridiculous effort to try to channel Trump.
And by the way, this gerrymandering deal that California is now committed to doing, the estimated cost, while people still have no permits to rebuild their home, while there's very little aid forthcoming from California's political establishment to California citizens who were burned out, the estimated cost of this redistricting effort is put at $200 million. $200 million. James Golden, Snerdley here, fastest hour in American media. Keep it right here. Don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Liberals love to talk about fact-checking this, fact-checking this. This is unusual. CNN news anchorette Pamela Brown gets fact-checked by her own reporter in real time. Now, in order to catch it, listen to the gloom and doom way she opens up this segment about consumer spending in the Trump economy, and then listen to what her reporter says when she brings her in.
The Commerce Department is reporting that retail sales went up by 0.5 percentage points last month, but American consumers are feeling less confident despite low unemployment rates. So let's go live now to CNN business and politics correspondent Vanessa Yurkevich. Vanessa, what story do these numbers tell?
It essentially tells us that the consumer is feeling resilient in the face of tariff headwinds. This is a solid report. This showed that consumers were willing to open their wallets, and it's important because consumer spending drives about 70% of U.S. GDP growth. The numbers really signal a solid report here. You have a half a percentage point in terms of retail spending in the month of July, and then year-over-year spending up almost 4%. And this really indicates that consumers are willing to spend and maybe also trying to still get ahead of some of those higher tariff rates that hit this month. Also, it signals that businesses, maybe up until now, have been absorbing much of those price increases because of tariffs. And if you look at this bar chart, you can see now that we've had 2 continuous months of increased retail spending, and actually June's numbers were revised up to nearly almost 1%.
People are feeling less confidence. What does this story tell? Oh, this is a solid report. People are feeling spending up over 4% year over year. That is fact-checking in real time. The gloom and doom setup defeated by the actual numbers. This is Fastest Hour in American Media. Bus Snerdley's Rush Hour. It's the Friday edition. Keep it right here, folks. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Half of the people here, maybe all of the people here, most of you live in D.C., you are petrified to go out, and you're liberal, and if you're liberal, you're going to have to change your Democrats. You're going to have to change your ways. So we will have crime under control very shortly in D.C., but they're record numbers, and sadly, what I guess the mayor did, but whoever it was, they asked the numbers to be fudged so that it would show less crime than the fact. The fact is, it's worse than it's ever been, and we will have it just like we did at the border, where with borders are totally in great shape right now, the best ever, record-setting shape. We'll have the crime situation solved in D.C. very soon.
Democrats have to get it around their heads that Americans are far more hawkish on crime than they think that they are. What are we talking about? Trump's net approval handling crime. Where was he last year? He was way underwater at minus 13 points views of term number 1. But look at where he is now. He's on the positive side of the ledger. He's on the positive side at plus 1 point. Americans view Trump far more favorably now on crime than they did a year ago. Donald Trump is like Air Jordan towering over Joe Biden when it comes to their handling of crime. Look, in 2024, look at where Biden's net approval was on crime. Way underwater there at minus 26 points. It was one of Biden's worst issues. Granted, pretty much every issue was one of Biden's worst issues. And again, look at where Donald Trump is. Way, way, way above Joe Biden. What is that? That's 27 points. So Americans vastly prefer Donald Trump's approach to crime than they did to Joe Biden. In 2023, Republicans were favored by 13 points. Look at where they were in May of this year. Republicans were actually favored by 16 points. They actually gained ground on crime. They were maintaining their edge and actually added a little bit to it.
Now, this thing that Donald Trump talked about, these numbers being fudged, there's a story today in Daily BS. D.C. quietly settles lawsuit with officer who exposed crime stats manipulation. Now, this officer, Sergeant Charlotte Dejoux, sued the city, I think, Dejoux. Well, I hope I'm pronouncing that. I don't know what's the correct pronunciation of her name. But she sued the city in 2020. She alleged that the Metropolitan Police Department deliberately downgraded felonies such as theft and assault with deadly weapon to misdemeanors in order to exclude them from the city's official crime statistics, while also they retaliated against her for speaking out. Now, why is that relevant? Because the In fact, I don't have it in the soundbite roster today, but there's a story from Media Research Center that PMSNBC, and I believe it's another network too, have been citing wrong statistics on D.C. crime in the last few days numerous times. We're talking like in one day over 70 some odd mentions of statistics that are wrong, that show that the crime is not what it is in D.C. And so apparently this thing that was first brought to light it was brought to light first in 2019 and then 2020, is still going on, where these numbers are fraudulent numbers. Meanwhile, a Democratic Washington, D.C. Attorney General Brian Schwab filed a federal lawsuit today over the Trump administration's takeover of the police department there, Metropolitan Police. It came hours after Pam Bondi, Attorney General, announced Drug Enforcement Administration Administrator Terry Cole would be the Emergency Police Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police Department. The DA there, the local DA, Brian Schwab, says we're suing to block the federal government takeover of the D.C. police. By illegally declaring a takeover of MPD, the administration is abusing its temporary limited authority under the law. This is the gravest threat to home rule D.C. has ever faced. The threat is to real people on D.C. And that's what these Democrats are fighting against, because they're actually cleaning up D.C. There are so many pictures of homeless encampments being cleaned up. And by the way, there was a story out today about how terrible one of these situations was, and it does not. I don't know how anybody can look at people that are obviously in distress and not feel some empathy or sympathy for their situation. Especially, we know many of the homeless people have infirmities that include mental problems in some cases, in many cases, perhaps. And so, yes, you feel for them, but no one has felt for the taxpayer and what they're going through. Entire blocks have been rendered useless by people setting up these camps there and driving away customers to their stores, for instance. The mess that they leave behind, the human mess in some cases, which is not only unsanitary, but stops many people from even enjoying the quality of life. And I am all for, and I've been on, those of you that listen to this program for ages know that I've talked about the need to increase what we're doing to help those who are mentally afflicted with serious mental health issues. I think it pervades into the criminal, the judicial roles that we have in society. In fact, you look at many of these lockup shows and all that, a lot of the people behind bars, a segment of them, are insane. They have or have very serious mental health issues. And they don't even understand look, I'm not a doctor, I shouldn't say they don't understand, but it's hard to believe that they fully grasp what is happening in their lives or have control over it, some of them. And so we can continue to ignore the mental health issues in this country all we want, but then they're not going away. In fact, they seem to be increasing. That's it. Something has to be done. Now, you hear this D.C. Attorney General, this is the worst thing for D.C. home rule that's ever been done. It's terrible. It's illegal, all of that. But what about the residents of D.C.? What about the people who live there? Now, we played earlier in the week this woman who had trouble articulating her point of view with part of the paid protest, which many believe are paid protest. But what about the real people in there? D.C. used to be called Chocolate City. I don't know, maybe some people still do call it. Yeah, Carlos, it's Chocolate City. because of the overwhelming number of black folks that live in D.C. That's what they used to call it, Chocolate City, right? Now, I have some voices from Chocolate City. And let's play cut 10. And then after that, give it back to me, Carlos, and then we'll play another one. Let's hear cut 10.
I don't understand it, and I don't think I ever will. Why the is people that's not from the city saying DC's not that bad? Why is it from Denver, Colorado saying DC's not that bad and Trump is just trying to be a dictator? Gang, DC is like Gotham City, bruh. Like, y'all do not know. Y'all out-of-towners, Mo. Mind y'all business, bruh. 4 infants got killed in a month. This shoot is every day. Contact is every day. The city is wild right now, bruh. And it might say it's the lowest it's ever been. That's because these is not getting caught. There's so much going on. Y'all don't even know, bruh. I'm really recovering from getting shot in DC, gang. So for y'all out-of-towners to be like DC's not that bad and don't need to be done, y'all don't know, bruh. Like, for real, y'all don't know, bro. What Donald Trump is doing right now, getting the homeless off the street and putting all these law enforcement people in throughout DC, that needs to be done good. I'm tired of Gotham City, gang. I'm tired of that, bro. I'm trying to go to U Street and not have to worry about running from bullets, bro. I'm sick of that, gang.
That's one. Let's go to the very next one, Carlos. Let's hear from another guy in D.C. This guy, by the way, you may have heard it pass by real quick. I'm recovering from a gunshot. In this video that he's pointing up. It looks like 3 or 4 of his fingers have been blown off. Right? And he said he's a victim of crime. Let's go to the next guy on our hit parade.
Shut up. Stop acting like all of a sudden we care about our community. We give them a reason to send the National Guards into our communities. We pew-pew one another and don't care about anybody around us. Before there was rules, children, older people, mothers, off limits. But these young ninjas today ain't following none of the rules. If we care so much about our community, why don't we address the issues that are in our community? Why do we need the president to address our issues? We unalive our babies in a system that was specifically made for us not to reproduce, but we care about our community. You can feel however you want to feel about Trump sending the National Guard, but my question is, was there a reason? And the answer is yes. There's something bigger going on in our community, and we don't want to address it, but all we want to do is point the fingers. Like what I said, hate what I said. It's the truth.
And there's cut 18, Carlos. This gentleman. This is an older gentleman who is trying to give a warning to some of the young, the Wyans. And we learned what that was in case you missed that episode of the program, the Wyans. Anyway, here he is.
What's up, y'all? Check this out. Listen, to all my homies, man, everybody in D.C., man, listen, I don't know if y'all been paying attention, but check this out. Man, they got the National Guards, they got DEA, the FBI, Park Police, Capitol Police, D.C. Police, all working together. Trump got these on a mission. So what I'm saying to y'all is now ain't the time in my city, in D.C. I don't know about nobody else. He ain't do that nowhere else. But it's a state of emergency in my city. So all I'm saying to you is now ain't the time to be riding around with guns and drinking and smoking weed. You know what I'm saying? Now ain't the time, bro. This ain't these next 30 days is gonna show a lot of for man. And that's because it's like this because the youngest keep tipping, bro. We can't go nowhere without them. We can't go nowhere without them doing it up. 9 or 10 of them, they robbing my shooting my and you know what I'm saying? Like my get tired of that man. They get tired of that bro. There's no points in it for that, man. Now this is where we come to a state of emergency. You hear me? DC is under emergency. The Metropolitan Police Department has lost its custody for 30 days. Now Trump about to get in here and start roughing off. Man, they already started. They done came through the yo 2 or 3 times already. They done pushed up on my man yesterday, wasn't doing nothing. Pushed up on him. They is not playing out here, man. So if you want to get a football number now, keep doing that dumb. Keep doing the y'all doing, bro. Y'all making it. Come on, bro. We got to do better, man. And I'm not just saying it's for the YNs, bro. It's for my age, too. Listen, if you got certain motions, man, now with the curtail that a little bit, man, because if they catch you, they you over. It ain't nothing nobody else can do about it. I'm just being real, man. Y'all, man, stay up. Pay attention, man. Going on right now.
Yeah. If you want to get a football number, keep doing what you're doing. It took me a quick second to understand what that meant. You of course, got that immediately, didn't you, Carlos? Yeah. You want to get a football number, keep on doing what you're doing. What's a good football number? Like 20, 45? I don't know. Anyway, the word on the street is very different you hear than the people on the sanitized versions that you get on the news. And that is my entire point for playing some of these sound bites. And when you listen to people, especially some of these, I don't know, some of these establishment politicians and establishment journalists, you can really tell that there is it's not a gap, it's a huge chasm that exists between what they consider to be real and what the people who are actually living in these Democrat cities believe is real. We have time for one more. Another one. Cut 20, Carlos. We'll just do this, and then we had to head to a break. Fastest Hour in Media continues.
We hear from city leaders and others that crime is actually down. Are you seeing that?
No, I'm not seeing it. We're seeing carjackings, the violence in the communities. So we were advocating then for the National Guard to come out, but they said there was no need. But think about how many lives could have been saved just having them on the scene.
And Asia says still to this day, she's not heard from one detective about those crimes committed against her family. Now, for Tempe Satcher, another D.C. resident, her son B.J. was gunned down in a random drive-by shooting on the way to work 2 years ago, and she does not feel that crime has calmed down.
Just today, a young lady was shot over on 15th Street in Northeast D.C. Does that seem like crime gone down? With all the things that are going on with our president, sending the National Guards out, I don't have a problem with that personally, because if MPD can't do it.
Yeah. Get it done. That's the name of a lot of people in Washington, D.C. And by the way, all of these voices that you heard are, quote, people of color who have had it with what is going on in D.C., and they appreciate the fact that this president and this administration is taking action. You wonder how many other people around the country in these hellhole cities that Democrats run feel the same way. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
If you remember the Beatles coming to Shea Stadium for the first time, that was this day in 1965. The Beatles at Shea Stadium, 55,600 fans. Also, on this day in 81, Diana and Lionel went to number 1, stayed there for 9 weeks with Endless Love. Michael Jackson in 87 was at number 1 with I Just Can't Stop Loving You. Boys to Men, 1992, at number 1, End of the Road. Jerry Wexler, one of the most amazing producers ever in music, Atlantic Records, passed away on this day in 2008. He was 91 years old. Birthdays today include Billy Griffin, who took over for Smokey Robinson. Styx Nesbitt Hooper from the Crusaders, one of the most amazing musicians. The Crusaders are just incredible. And Bobby Caldwell. Man, oh man, was this such a great record. It's his heavenly birthday today. He passed away in 2023, 71 years old. But this one by Bobby is just amazing. My friends, we got to go. God willing, back in the morning. May God bless. Protect each and every single one of you, your families, your loved ones. Love and gratitude always for you being here with me, allowing me to be with you. Hopefully the crew will be with us tomorrow, including my princess. No, Carlos won't be. Oh, well. In the meantime, my friends, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?